Right, Jen St. Dennis from Business in Vancouver is with us. Good morning, Jen. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. So we've heard about older buildings being taken down, obviously, for newer condos or newer development, but not buildings that aren't that old.
Yeah, that's right. What we're talking about is condos that, the condo rush sort of, I guess the oldest condos in Vancouver were probably built in the 1960s, but a lot of them were built in the 80s, so they're really not that old. But there could be kind of a trend to take them down and replace them with newer buildings, and that's because of a change that's been proposed to the legislation that governs strata councils in BC. So under the current rules, you have to have unanimous agreement amongst all of the condo owners in order to sell a building. But under these new proposed changes, which wouldn't come into effect until the end of this year, if they do come into effect, you'd only need 80% of the owners to agree to sell.
So when are we thinking this development might happen?
Well, it's like I said, it's not expected. These are just proposed changes, but it could be quite, a good profit for some of these condo owners, because some of these buildings are lower density, but they're built in near SkyTrains or on these corridors that have been zoned for higher density. So potentially, if condo owners do agree to sell, they could be making much more than the value of their condo. But on the other hand, these processes could get dragged out because some of these cases could go to court if it's just an 80% vote. There could still be kind of some legal wrangling to sort out.
Okay. We're also hearing about TD Bank this morning laying off some workers, but TD is one of those successful banks, so why are they laying people off?
Yeah, all of the banks are actually doing pretty well, but they're all they're all doing cost cutting. So yeah, this is a story coming out from Reuters. Reuters quoting several anonymous sources saying that TD has started laying off hundreds of workers last week and will be continuing this job cutting this week. This job cutting affecting workers in both the U.S. and Canada, because we know that TD did that big expansion down to the U.S. and has actually been doing fairly well with that. Now, like I said, this is a trend that's been happening with big Canadian banks and big American banks, actually. Canadian banks are reacting to the sluggish economy, expecting some fallout from that. Also just expecting more competition from other players, from other technologies that are going to disrupt banking, and from consumers who are maybe a little bit tapped out because they have been carrying a pretty high debt load. So all of that combining to make the banks all kind of look to see where they can be cutting.
All right, Jen, thank you very much. Jen St. Dennis with us this morning.